chance to do one thing that every team in the country can't do. We got a chance to step up, man. We got a chance to step on the ledge, you know what I mean? And to me, I think it's a free fall. To be elite, you got to think free fall. That means you can't be afraid to go to the edge. And coach said, jump. You said, how far, coach? Where you want me to go? Every guy got a chance to do that today. If you're elite, grab somebody today. Take him with you. There's no more average in this program. There's no more average in this program.
Sam Pittman comes into another year off of a disappointing 4-8 season, and he's looking to try to rebuild this program yet again after he already resurrected it one time. I am Colin Bashnigal, your host here at Bash's College Football Show. You can find me on TikTok, Bash's CFB Show on TikTok. You can also find that link down in the description, along with the Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and the Twitch link if you want to join the live stream and make some comments during the live stream, pre-show, post-show, all of that stuff. I'll be reading comments, having discussions with you guys live over on Twitch if that's what you desire. Well, Sam Pittman made a big offseason move and a splash hire in Bobby Petrino, who comes over from Texas A&M, and he is back in Fayetteville. After all the drama with the motorcycle accident and everything, it's well documented. And if you don't know about his history, Bobby Petrino's history, you can go look up a video that KTO did. It was a great video about Bobby Petrino. But that offseason move was one that was an addition, but you cannot talk about this offseason for Arkansas and forget about the guys that they lost. Starting with the guys that graduated and moved on to the next level of football or the next part of their lives. You had a couple of offensive players, a couple of specifically bigger guys, Rajay Stona, a tight end, he goes off to the next level, and then two interior guys, Brady Latham and Bo Limmer, who I think was one of the better centers in the NFL draft this past NFL draft season. Then you also lost John Morgan and Trajan Jeffcoat to the next level, I guess. And I mean, I don't think either of these guys got drafted. Maybe Jeffcoat did. I can't remember for sure. Dwight McGlovern, he's also a guy, they're probably their best DB from last year that they're losing. He was a cornerback, transferred in from LSU. Good player. That's going to be a loss that you feel. And then Cam Little, can't ignore special teams right there. Then transferring out, and I think that this is really a big deal because you had a chance to keep your roster intact, kind of build momentum for next year, and they lost a ton of key pieces. They lost their two top quarterbacks, and KJ Jefferson moving on to UCF, and then Jacoby Criswell going back to North Carolina and trying to compete for that starting job. Then you lost your two top running backs. Rocket Sanders has gone to South Carolina, and A.J. Green has gone to Oklahoma State. That's a pretty big deal for the squad as well. On defense, they lost Anthony Booker Jr. to SMU, and then two big-time linebackers in Chris Paul Jr. going to Georgia, a big-time player. There's a reason why Georgia wanted him. And then Jaheim Thomas gets to go and play for Luke Fickell's defense up at Wisconsin. Now, you can't talk about the transfer portal without talking about what they did add. But before we talk about what they added, just what are these additions going to have coming back? Andrew Armstrong and Luke Haas are back as two weapons for the throw game. You have a couple of other interior guys. Patrick Kudos, though I wrote down was transfer, so I don't know what the full situation is with him. If you know, comment down below and let me know. But Joshua Braun is also back. Then you get edge rusher Lena Jackson, another LSU transfer, kind of like McGlovern was. And Jalen Braxton at cornerback is also back for this team to try to make a big impact. You can't talk about Arkansas's offseason, though, without talking about the transfer portal and what transferred out and then what they did to address what transferred out. And their answer at quarterback right now is Taylon Green. He started at Boise State for the last couple of years. He was an up-and-down quarterback, inconsistent. I'm not that impressed with him, just keeping it completely honest with you. Jaquindon Jackson, though, is a good running back, one that was a little bit of a raw talent from Utah, but he had a lot of good moments at Utah, and I think that was a good add in the portal, as well as a more experienced guy that was formerly at Florida State, transferred to Florida A&M, and Rodney Hill. Wide receiver Jordan Anthony comes in from Texas A&M, who's a talented kid that hadn't seen the field much. Tackle Fernando Carmona comes in from San Jose State after Brent Brennan leaves, which I think is a big deal to try to help with the depth, and I think he could potentially start on the offensive line this upcoming year. On the defensive line, they added Anton Junkes from Albany. I haven't watched any of him, so if you know anything about this kid, let me know down below. I'm here for those comments. Xavier Sori Jr., a depth piece at Georgia. He comes in kind of a player swap with Chris Paul Jr., except I think one team got the better of it, and I think that was definitely Georgia. Then you get a couple of cornerbacks. Yeah, everybody that watched football in the SEC is familiar with the name Danico Slaughter at Tennessee, but not as familiar with the name Marquise Robinson, who was a cornerback at South Alabama, who I think was an absolute stud. And then Miguel Mitchell is another player from Florida that they added. So overall, I think there's going to be a lot of questions about this offense, specifically from a skill position perspective. Can Jaquindon Jackson really be that guy to take the bulk of all carries, because he's going to be asked to? And can Taylon Green really step up his development, especially with the development that Bobby Petrino is going to provide for the young kid who did struggle at times at Boise State? And not to mention, if you hadn't taken a peek at the schedule scrolling down below, this is a really, really tough schedule. We're going to talk about it. Schedule predictions here for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Let's get straight into it. I think that they start off out of conference with a win against UAPB, Arkansas Pine Bluff. No problem there on a Thursday night. And then they get a long gap before going to Oklahoma State. And I think they lose that game at Oklahoma State. I think it's definitely going to be a tough one that I think they can really compete because of Oklahoma State's maybe inability to throw the ball. And Alan Bowman needs to show us that he's not going to turn the ball over this year, but I do think Oklahoma State's a better team with great coaches over there. UAB, I think they do win that game before getting into the gauntlet of conference play in the SEC. This is where it gets really tough. At Auburn, I have a hard time convincing myself to say that they win this game versus Texas A&M. This is going to be a good one. I think it always is when they play this game in Arlington, and I'm hoping Arkansas does surprise me with a couple of these games, but I do have them losing that one and losing to Tennessee as well. I think that I would have honestly, as high as I am on Nico Iamaleava, I think that game would be tough for Tennessee to be able to go on the road to Fayetteville or Little Rock, wherever they play that game. I think it'd be tough for them to go and get that win, but they're off of a bye. They're going to have plenty of time to prepare for Arkansas, and I don't think they're going to be the hardest team to prepare for. So 3 straight losses in conference play. Let's make it 6 there, okay? LSU, this is another one. I could see it going the other way. It's right off of a bye, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, it's off of a bye, too. It's at home. I'm not high on LSU. Their secondary looks to struggle. They got to improve a lot from a skill positions perspective. I think their offensive line is also a concern. But I do believe that they do have talent, and Brian Kelly's a good coach, and they're going to be a solid team. And I'm going to take LSU in the benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to take Mississippi State to beat Arkansas. I like Jeff Lebby. I like the system that he's going to have down there. We'll see if Blake Shapen is a good quarterback. And this is definitely a battle between 2 transfer guys that really need to prove themselves at their new SEC spot. But I think Mississippi State being at home, I think they win that game. This is probably one of the more winnable games you have for the Arkansas Razorbacks in conference play. And I do not think they're beating Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to give a lot of teams hell this year. I think that they're a really good, fiery offense and well-coached as well. Then I think they lose to Texas, the 7th straight loss. I think the wheels are falling off here for Arkansas. I'm hoping to see that Sam Pittman sticks it out because I do like Sam Pittman. But, man, this is just a tough draw and a team that really is not pieced together very well. I think that Texas wins that game. They beat Louisiana Tech, but they lose on the road to Missouri, finishing the season 3-9 and 0-8. Yeah, I'm never the guy to predict the team to go 0-8 in conference. I hardly even do it with Vanderbilt. So this was tough for me. I tried to find a win, but every single one that I tried to justify, I just couldn't do it. I think that you can find that road game that I talked about where they have to go. You could talk about Auburn, but where they have to go to Mississippi State. I think you could talk about LSU as possible. I think that their ceiling, though, is really 3-5 in conference and a 6-6 bowl bid. Like, I think that is genuinely their ceiling. I think they have talent limitations this year, and I think it's going to be tough for Arkansas in the new look SEC. But that's my predictions. Let me know if you think Arkansas is going to do significantly better than I had predicted for them. I just think they lost too much, and I think that this is going to be a massive rebuild year, and Sam Pittman is going to have to hang on by a thread. But thank you guys for tuning in. I'd appreciate it if you like the video and comment down below what you think of Arkansas and a team I should do up next. And if you like these videos, subscribe. I am certainly overwhelmed by the great increase of support that I've been given and the increase of views. So I want to give a shout out to all of you guys for sticking it out and tuning into my channel. Thank you guys and have a good day.